Ringo Starr is a British musician, actor, director, writer, and artist best known as the drummer of the Beatles, who also coined the title, A Hard Day's Night, for the Beatles' first movie. He was born Richard Starkey on July 7, 1940, in a small two-story house in the working-class area of Liverpool, Merseyside, England. His father, Richard Starkey, was a former dockworker turned baker. His mother, Elsie Gleave Starkey, was a bakery worker. His parents divorced when he was 3 and he and his mother, Elsie, moved to another home in Liverpool. While attending Silas Infant Schools, he suffered from many afflictions that basically ruined his education. He had constant abdominal pains, was once diagnosed with a ruptured appendix that led to an inflamed peritoneum, which also led to one of his first surgeries. Ringo was in a coma, and his recovery took a couple of months, during which more operations were performed, and he was known to be accident-prone. Shortly after he came out of the coma, he was trying to offer a toy bus to another boy in an adjoining bed, but fell and suffered from a concussion. When he finally was able to go back to school, he learned that he was far behind in his studies. At age 13, he caught a cold that turned into chronic pleurisy, causing him another stay at a hospital in Liverpool. A few lung complications followed, which resulted in a treatment in yet another children's hospital, this time until 1955. Meanwhile, Richard's mother Elsie had married Harry Graves, the man who her son referred to as a step-ladder. At the age of 15 he could barely read or write, although he had aptitude for practical subjects such as woodwork and mechanics. At that time he dropped out of school and got his first job was as a delivery boy for British Rail. His second job was a barman on a ferry to New Brighton, and his next was as a trainee joiner at Henry Hunt and Amp Sons. Ringo injured his finger on the first day of his new job, and then he decided to become a drummer. His dream came true, when his stepfather bought him a new drum kit, and Richard promised to be the best drummer ever. In 1957, together with Eddie Miles, he started his own band called Eddie Clayton Skiffle Group. At that time he became known as Richie, and eventually became caught in the Liverpool's skiffle craze. Although he was self-taught, he was a good timekeeper, and developed an original beat with his signature accentuations, due to his left-handed manner of playing on the right-handed drum set. He traveled from band to band, but he eventually landed a spot with Raving Texans, which was a backing band for Rory Storm, later known as Rory Storm and Amp. The Hurricanes, a popular band at that time Liverpool. Rory Storm encouraged Richard to enhance his career by legally changing his name to Ringo Starr. The Hurricanes topped the bill at one of Liverpool's clubs, where the Beatles also had a gig. Ringo's group was at times sharing popularity with the Beatles and Jerry and the Pacemakers. He wanted to leave the Hurricanes to join another group called the Seniors. Before Ringo, the Beatles tried several other drummers. At one point they were so desperate, that they even invited strangers from the audience to fill the position. Then came Pete Best, who was not considered by the other band members to be the greatest drummer, and they were keen to recruit Ringo as his replacement. On June 6, 1962, at the Abbey Road Studios, the Beatles passed Martin's audition with the exception of Pete Best. George Martin liked them, but recommended the change of a drummer. Being asked by John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison, Epstein fired Pete Best. After a mutual decision, the band was completed with Ringo Starr. Ringo contributed to their first hit in September of 1962, when the Beatles recorded Love Me Do, which charted in UK, and reached the top of the US singles chart. Ringo's steady and reliable drumming became essential in their studio sessions, as well as in their numerous and exhausting live performances across the world. Ringo's positive disposition as well as his drumming style played the pivotal role in shaping the famous image and music style of the Beatles as they are now known to the world, under the management of Brian Epstein and music producer George Martin. Ringo filled the position of a drummer for the Beatles in the most critical time of the band's formation. He quickly connected with the other 3 members of the Beatles, and contributed to their music and creativity with his easygoing personality, light humor, reliable drumming and inventive musicianship. All 4 members were charismatic and individually talented artists. They sparked each other from the beginning. Eventually they made a much better group effort under the thorough management by Brian Epstein, whose coaching helped consolidate their talents and mutual stimulation into beautiful teamwork. Starr had dreamed of becoming a professional actor since his younger years. He wanted to be in movies probably more so than the other members of the Beatles. In 1964, during the first months of Beatlemania, Ringo coined the phrase, "A Hard Day's Night," which soon became the official title of the Beatles' first movie, in replacement for the working title, Beatlemania. Ringo received great reviews for his performance in A Hard Day's Night, 1964, and Help, 1965. At first, Ringo did not have a songwriting career, although he had no problem with his name recognition. However, he had a problem with getting his songs noticed. At that time he got help from his friends. John and Paul wrote a song or two for him to sing on their albums, such as Boys, I Wanna Be Your Man, Honey Don't, and Yellow Submarine. During his 8-year career with the Beatles, Ringo wrote 2 original songs, Don't Pass Me By, and Octopus Garden, for which he also sang the lead vocals. Besides his drumming, Ringo's voice was recorded on many of the most popular Beatles songs, contributing to their unique sound and tight harmonies. He had a hectic solo career during the 1970s, after the breakup of the Beatles. However, Ringo eventually emerged as a steady performer, and sustained a very popular solo career, turning out a dozen chart-topping hit songs and 8 best-selling albums. He made a famous appearance together with George Harrison, Ravi Shankar, and other popular musicians in the landmark Concert for Bangladesh, in 1971. His 1973 solo release, Ringo, was the last album to feature all 4 living Beatles, although not on the same song. He also appeared in various TV shows, including his own special, Ringo, 1978, and a TV miniseries, Princess Daisy, 1983, with his wife Barbara. In 1984 he did narration for the children's series Thomas and Amp, Friends, 1984. During the 1980s, after having a long period of troubles with alcohol, Ringo and his wife attended a rehabilitation clinic, and came back to the scene sober. He made the all-star band tour of America and Japan. The tour was so popular that he formed another all-star band lineup in 1992, and began an American and European